Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? This time, we're looking at a conversation about mental health that's truly resonated with folks online.
Oh, yeah. This one's been making the rounds.
Yeah, it's from Netflix's YouTube channel and features Amir Khan, the Bollywood legend.
Of course.
He sits down with his daughter, Ira Khan, and Dr. Vivek Murthy.
Oh, wow. The Surgeon General of the United States. That's quite the trio.
Yeah, I know, right? And what's fascinating is how open Amir Khan is about his personal experiences with mental health. It's a side of him I don't think many people have seen before.
Well, it is so important for public figures to speak up about these issues, especially someone with his level of global recognition.
Absolutely. So jumping right in, one of the biggest bombshells of the interview was Amir Khan's revelation that he's actually stepping away from Bollywood.
Oh, wow. I hadn't heard about that. What led to such a huge decision?
Well, he says it stems from feeling intense guilt about not being present for his children due to the demanding nature of his career.
That's incredibly brave of him to admit. It challenges this whole myth of the perfect parent that we often see in the media.
Totally. It's refreshing to see someone at his level of success being so vulnerable and honest.
And it's a wake-up call for all of us, right?
How so?
Well, his story forces us to confront this societal expectation that we should constantly strive for more, even at the expense of our mental health and relationships. Like, when does it end?
It's a good point. It makes you wonder how many people are sacrificing their well-being in the pursuit of success,
Hmm.
especially in high-pressure careers. Is it all worth it? That kind of thing.
Exactly. And to hear him actually verbalize that, to prioritize his family and his mental health, like he's choosing to step back from this incredibly successful career to focus on what truly matters.
Yeah, makes you think.
It does. And what makes this conversation even more interesting is that it's not just his perspective we hear. His daughter Ira actually jumps in with her own take on things. Yeah, like she doesn't hold back. She pushes back a little on his guilt, emphasizing that relationships are a two-way street. Both parties are responsible.
I see. So it's not just him blaming himself. They're having an actual dialogue about it.
Right. It's this really authentic exchange between a father and a daughter. You can tell they have a great relationship where they can challenge each other and be honest about their experiences.
It's a good reminder that families, even those who seem to have it all from the outside, still face their own unique challenges.
Yeah.
And being able to have open communication about it is so crucial.
I agree. It makes you think about your own family, right? Are you having those open and honest conversations? Because sometimes we just assume, based on outward appearances, that other families are perfect, but that's almost never the case.
So true. So after they discuss Amir Khan's decision to step away from Bollywood, the conversation shifts to another fascinating topic: loneliness.
Loneliness. It's such a pervasive issue, especially in today's world.
Yeah. They talk about this kind of paradox. We're more connected than ever before thanks to social media and technology. But at the same time, rates of loneliness are skyrocketing.
It's like all those online connections can't replace the depth and intimacy of real face-to-face interactions.
Yeah. Dr. Murthy brings in some pretty alarming statistics during this part of the conversation. For example, he says that 50% of young people and a third of adults in the U.S. experience loneliness.
Wow, those are huge
I
numbers.
know, right? And he links those feelings of loneliness to some serious health risks, like increased chances of heart disease and dementia.
It's a good reminder that this isn't just some fluffy feel-good topic. Loneliness can have a real impact on our physical and mental health.
Absolutely. And then Ira jumps in with this really insightful observation. She's like, people tell us to form connections, but they don't tell us HLW.
Hmm. So true. Like, okay, connect more, go make friends.
Yeah, easy to say, harder to actually put into practice. Exactly. She talks about how social media actually adds to the problem because there's this constant pressure to present a perfect image online, which makes people even more hesitant to be vulnerable and show their true selves.
Just like we're all performing for this invisible audience, which makes it even tougher to make real, genuine connections.
Right. Like, how do you let your guard down and be your authentic self when you're worried about how many likes you'll get or what people will think?
It's a real challenge, and one that I think a lot of people, especially those who've grown up with social media, are grappling with.
Totally. So what can we do about it?
Well, Ira offers some really empowering advice. She talks about how we need to be more proactive about building relationships offline, like making an effort to meet up with friends in person, taking classes, or joining groups where you can connect with people who share your interests.
It's about being more intentional and putting ourselves out there, even if it feels a little uncomfortable at first.
Absolutely. And she also emphasizes the importance of vulnerability. Letting go of the need to present a perfect image and allowing ourselves to be seen for who we truly are, flaws and all.
It's such a powerful message because at the end of the day, we all crave authentic connections, and that can only happen when we're willing to be vulnerable with each other.
Right. Vulnerability is the key to building real, lasting relationships.
So we've covered Amir Khan's decision to quit Bollywood and this broader discussion of loneliness and the challenges of connection in the digital age.
It's quite a bit already.
It is, and we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more to unpack in this conversation. It's so important for public figures, especially those from cultures where there's still a lot of stigma around mental health, to be so open about seeking professional help.
It really does help to normalize therapy and challenge those old-fashioned beliefs that it's a sign of weakness or something to be ashamed of. It's not. It takes strength to admit you need help and to reach out for support.
For sure. And, seeing role models like Amir and Ira Khan openly talking about their positive experiences with therapy, that can be so validating and empowering, especially for younger generations who might be struggling.
It sends the message that it's okay to not be okay and that there are resources available to help you get better.
Absolutely. And it's also a message for parents, right?
How so?
That it's okay to seek professional help for your children if they're struggling. There's no shame in it. In fact, it shows that you care and are willing to do whatever it takes to support your child.
You're right. It's a sign of love and support, not weakness.
Exactly.
So we've talked about guilt, loneliness, the pressures of social media. It's been pretty heavy stuff.
It has. But this conversation isn't all doom and gloom. There's a lot of hope and practical advice in there, too. Like Amir, Ira, and Dr. Murthy, they all share some really useful tips for self-care and building resilience.
Oh, right. What kind of things?
Simple things, really,
Yeah.
like emphasizing the importance of sleep, making sure you're eating nutritious foods, getting regular exercise, practicing meditation, and, of course, making time to connect with loved ones.
It's a good reminder that taking care of our mental health is a holistic thing. It's not just about addressing the negative stuff. It's also about nurturing ourselves in every aspect of our lives.
Definitely. It's about creating a solid foundation of well-being that can help us handle all the inevitable ups and downs that life throws at us.
I like that. A solid foundation.
Yeah.
So what else did they talk about? And it doesn't have to be these big, elaborate routines or anything.
Right. Like, what kind of small practical changes can we make in our daily lives to prioritize our well-being?
Well, they talked about being more mindful and present in their interactions with loved ones.
Oh, yeah. Like, how do they do that?
Well, Amir Khan talked about how he's been trying to focus on those small moments of connection throughout the day.
Instead of trying to carve out these huge chunks of time for quality time, that might not even happen.
Exactly. And Ira added to that, like, if you make an effort to connect with your friends more regularly, you won't feel the need to have these marathon catch-up sessions every few months that can feel so overwhelming.
It's like quality over quantity when it comes to relationships.
Right. And it makes sense. Those small, consistent gestures can actually be more meaningful and impactful than these big, sporadic attempts to connect.
It's a good reminder for all of us to slow down and appreciate those little moments, whether it's sharing a meal with family, having a good conversation with a friend, or just truly listening to someone when they're talking.
It's about being present. And, speaking of slowing down, that was another big theme that came up in the interview.
Oh, in what way?
Well, Amir Khan was talking about how he feels like life's just moving too fast and he wants to savor the moments more.
He actually joked about how much he loves to sleep. He needs like 8 to 10 hours a night.
Oh, wow. I wish I could get that much.
Right. But then, he was talking about how he struggles to fit everything in, family, work, friends. It can all feel so demanding.
That feeling of constantly being on the go, trying to juggle a million things at once and never feeling like you have enough time.
It's the modern dilemma, isn't it?
It really is. And it's not just about time management. It's about finding ways to be present in the middle of all that chaos.
Which is so much easier said than done.
Right. But I think that's where mindfulness practices like meditation can come in handy. Helping to train your mind to focus on the present moment and quiet all those racing thoughts and anxieties.
I've heard good things about meditation.
Yeah.
Never tried it myself.
It's worth a shot. Even if you don't have a formal practice, there are little things you can do throughout the day to cultivate more mindfulness.
Like what?
Well, it could be as simple as paying attention to your breath for a few moments, or focusing on the sensations in your body as you're walking, or really savoring each bite of food when you're eating.
It's about bringing your awareness to the present moment, even if it's just for a few seconds at a time.
Exactly. And those little moments add up. They can make a big difference in your overall well-being.
That makes sense. So, near the end of the conversation, Dr. Murthy asked Amir and Ira if they had any advice for young people who might be struggling with their mental health.
Oh, yeah. What did they say?
Ira's advice was really interesting. She said something like, take things sincerely, but not too seriously.
Ooh, that's good. Sincerely, but not too seriously. It's a tricky balance.
It is. It's about acknowledging your feelings without letting them completely consume you.
Right. She also emphasized the importance of just continuing to try, even when it feels impossible, and seeking help wherever you can get it, even if it's not from the person you ideally want it from.
Like, don't let perfection be the enemy of progress when it comes to getting support.
Exactly. And what about Amir? What advice did he have?
Well, he mainly talked about how important it is for parents to be there for their kids.
To take their struggles seriously.
Exactly, to not hesitate to seek professional help if needed. And above all, to be patient. Sometimes just listening without judgment can be the most powerful thing you can do for someone who's struggling.
That's so true. And what I thought was interesting was how they sort of switched roles at one point.
What do you mean?
Well, Ira ended up giving advice to parents, and Amir gave advice to young people.
Oh, yeah, that was cool. It was a nice twist.
I thought so too. And Ira's advice to parents was really compassionate. Like, she acknowledged how difficult it can be to see your child going through something like this.
It's easy to blame yourself as a parent.
Right, like, what did I do wrong? But Ira stressed the importance of letting go of that guilt and just being present for your child, to offer support without judgment.
That's huge. It's about showing up for your child with love, even if you don't have all the answers.
Yes, exactly. And then Amir, talking to young people, encouraged them to reach out to their parents for support. But he also acknowledged that parents are human and don't always get it right. So if you can't find the support you need from your parents, that's okay. Find it somewhere else, a teacher, a friend, a mentor, a therapist, whoever you feel comfortable talking to.
It's about having that support system no matter where it comes from.
Exactly. We all need those people in our lives who we can trust and rely on. And, what struck me about this whole conversation was the universal themes that they kept touching on.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're a Bollywood superstar or an everyday person, we all have these basic human needs for connection, belonging, and purpose.
It's a good reminder that we're not as different as we sometimes think we are.
We're all in this together, facing similar challenges and striving for the same things, which is why I think this interview is such a must-watch.
I agree. For anyone who's ever felt alone, lost, or overwhelmed by the pressures of modern life, this conversation offers so much hope and practical guidance.
It's like a roadmap for navigating the complexities of life and prioritizing your mental well-being.
And the fact that they chose to have this conversation on Netflix's YouTube channel, that's huge. It's such an accessible platform that reaches a global audience.
Yeah. It helps to destigmatize these conversations and make it clear that it's okay to talk about mental health, no matter who you are or where you come from. And it's not just the message, it's also the way he delivers it, with such honesty and humility. You can tell he's really thought deeply about these issues and is speaking from the heart.
Definitely. He doesn't shy away from the messy stuff. And I think that's what makes him so relatable.
It's that vulnerability that really resonates with people.
It does. And speaking of reaching people, the fact that they chose to have this conversation on Netflix's YouTube channel is pretty significant, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. That platform has massive global reach. They could have done this anywhere, but they chose a platform that's accessible to folks from all walks of life.
Yeah, and it's free. Anyone with an internet connection can watch it.
Yeah.
It's a great way to destigmatize these conversations and reach a wider audience.
It really is. It helps to normalize the idea that it's okay to talk about mental health, no matter who you are or where you come from. And then having Dr. Murthy there, too, the Surgeon General of the United States, that lends a whole other level of weight to the conversation.
I was going to say, it's not every day you see a Bollywood star, his daughter, and the Surgeon General having a heart-to-heart about mental health.
Right. It definitely adds another layer of importance. Like, this isn't just a casual chat between friends. They're really trying to elevate this conversation to a national and global level. And I think it's so effective because they're not just talking about the problems, they're offering solutions too.
Yeah. It's not just about raising awareness. They provide some really concrete tips and advice for people who are struggling.
Exactly. It's not just, oh, go to therapy, although they do emphasize the importance of seeking professional help when you need it. They also talk a lot about self-care, those small, everyday things we can do to take care of our mental well-being.
Oh, yeah. Like getting enough sleep, eating nourishing foods, moving our bodies, spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones. All those good things that we know we should be doing but sometimes forget about.
We all know those things,
Mm.
but sometimes we just need that reminder, right?
Mhm.
And hearing it from people like Amir, Ira, and Dr. Murthy, it can really hit home.
Totally, because they're walking the walk too. It's not just theoretical for them. They're sharing their own personal experiences and the things that have helped them in their own lives. It's more relatable that way.
Much more. And I think those small acts of self-care are often the most powerful because they're sustainable.
What do you mean by sustainable?
Like, you don't need a ton of time or money to do them. They're things you can easily integrate into your daily routine. It's about making small, consistent choices that prioritize your well-being.
It's about building healthy habits over time.
Exactly. It's those little things done consistently that make a big difference in the long run. Kind of like, I don't know, Amir Khan quitting Bollywood.
I see what you did there. That was quite a leap.
Yeah, it might seem like a drastic move to some people, but, when you think about it, it's a perfect example of prioritizing your well-being, even if it means making big changes.
Even walking away from something that you've dedicated your life to.
Yeah, like he recognized that the pace and pressure of his career were negatively impacting his mental health and his relationships, and he decided to do something about it, even if it was a hard decision.
It's a good reminder that we all have the power to make choices that support our well-being, even if those choices seem unconventional or scary.
It's about taking control of your life and creating a path that feels authentic and fulfilling to you.
And, it's never too late to make a change. No matter where you're at in life, you can always choose to prioritize your well-being. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways for our listeners? What do we want them to walk away with?
I'd say the biggest takeaway is that you're not alone. Mental health challenges are incredibly common, and there's absolutely no shame in struggling.
If anything, it takes courage to acknowledge those struggles and seek support.
Exactly. And there are so many resources available. It's not a sign of weakness to reach out for help. In fact, it's a sign of strength.
And remember, it's a journey. Taking care of your mental health is an ongoing process. It's about learning, growing, and making choices that support your well-being.
Definitely. And we highly recommend checking out the full interview on Netflix's YouTube channel. Seeing and hearing them share their stories firsthand adds a whole other dimension to the conversation.
Agreed. It's definitely worth a watch. And as a final thought for our listeners, what resonated most with you from this conversation? Were there any aha moments? Any practical tips you want to try incorporating into your own life? What small steps can you take today to prioritize your mental well-being and nurture those meaningful relationships in your life? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Taking care of your mental health is a journey, not a destination. Be kind to yourselves and keep learning and growing.